All right, so for... Oh! Yeah, man, it burns. I'll be honest, I don't know how much longer I could last, but I'll keep going.
Just getting started.
Squeegee break.
Give me a full spa experience.
All right. Hi, my name is Andrei Jikh. Hope you're doing well, and welcome back. We have here my good friends, Jen Kramer and Graham Stephan. So thank you, Graham, for joining us.
Welcome back to the Iced Coffee Hour. What do I say? My name is Graham. So far, the podcast is made.
So far, this podcast has made $0.
Welcome to the very hot coffee hour.
No, I was thinking about calling it hot coffee hour.
That would be funny.
It'll be the rivalry. Hot coffee hour.
Come for the finance, stay for the
Graham
sauna.
Stephan.
Yeah.
Yes. Graham Stephan.
Stay for the special
and lots
guest.
of sweat.
Wow.
Thank you for sweating with us.
I feel it getting hotter already. So
It is
do
getting
it.
hotter.
yeah.
So I am here with the two kings of the finance space on YouTube. We've got Andrei Jikh. We've got Graham Stephan. I handed each of them a $1 bill.
What are you
we could
talking
kick
about? You
things
didn't hand it
off.
to me. I carry dollar bills in the
carries-
sauna.
Each of them just
All
brought
the
their
time.
own dollar to the sauna spontaneously.
Yeah.
They each just felt an impulse to bring $1 into the sauna. So we have $2 bills.
Cool.
In reality, the reason that they're folded up is because they're my lucky dollars. I keep them in my wallet, folded up at all times, and I'll show you why. Graham, if we could make anything happen with these dollars, what would you want to happen?
Turn them into $100 bill.
100.
Yeah, or 220s.
Ooh.
250s.
250s.
Yeah, I mean, 20s or 50s would be cool. But you said a $100
A 100.
bill. Let's see
Yeah.
what we can do here. If we take the two singles, it'll happen on the third fold. That's 1, that's 2, and that is 3. We have a $100
Wow.
bill.
That's crazy.
Boom.
That's almost as good as Jerome Powell. Just kidding. That was really good.
Do I get to keep that?
Thanks.
Do I get to keep that?
Is that mine?
Yeah.
That's
Goes
mean if
towards
you
the
don't let the
sushi
guest.
fund, the aquarium fund. Yes.
No,
No.
absolutely.
But seriously,
Yeah.
that's mean if you don't let him have it.
That was mine.
This is the bribe that we had to pay Graham to come on here.
It
Wait,
is.
Graham, you're leaving
Yeah.
town. Where are you
I am.
going?
Yeah. There's a Carrot event for the Carrot credit card. I'm judging in a Shark Tank style pitch. So that'll be fun. Be on Friday.
Now, have you been a fan of Shark Tank?
I love
Show?
Shark Tank.
Graham is, I
Absolutely
think,
love
the
it, yeah.
biggest Kevin O'Leary fan that I've ever
Oh,
met.
yeah. Whatever he says, I'll follow his advice. He tells me to jump off a building, I'll do it.
Now, what is it about Kevin O'Leary that makes him somebody who you want to follow? You're interested in his thoughts. What is it about him?
Oh, I don't know. I think his demeanor. Just I love how frank he is. I love his brutal honesty, and he's funny. He's a funny guy.
He is.
Yeah.
I agree. Yes. If you were to ever go on Shark Tank with a product, and I know you were experimenting with being on the other side, having people bring products to you. I saw
Yeah.
Ketchup, please. That was a cool episode. But if you were to ever go on a Shark Tank, not that you would, but if you
Yeah.
ever did, do you have a product in mind?
Nothing. I mean, I'd pitch Bankroll Coffee, but like even that, I don't think it's really pitchable. There's nothing that I would be able to pitch right now. I have no clue. Not really my strength.
Well, speaking of Bankroll Coffee, how's it doing?
Decent. Sales were actually up. I have not talked about them in a while, and I've noticed last month our sales have been up like 50%. So
Wow.
I don't know why. I think it could be just random.
Wait, have
But-
you increased your prices thanks to inflation yet?
Barely.
Okay.
I mean, we've increased it in line with our own costs, so it's not like we're making extra money.
yeah,
But it's you know what? It's cruising. It's a good cruisable business.
that's cool.
Yeah. And the
Huh.
branding is cool.
Thank
From
you.
what I've heard,
Thanks,
people,
yeah.
you have so many repeat customers and
Yeah.
the rate of people who order and
Oh,
then
yeah,
decide
totally.
to keep ordering. And that to me, I mean, that's a testament to the product and to how
People
loyal
like
people
it.
are to
People
it.
like it. They order it once and they'll order again.
So we are starting this podcasting journey. You've been down this podcast road. You have an awesome, successful podcast, the Iced Coffee Hour. What advice or words of wisdom do you have that you've learned about podcasting?
Usually it's not to have a script, not to have any agenda, and just have a conversation. That's it.
Well, when you guys started, did you see the podcast take off right away, or was that something you guys had to grow after a while? Or how
So
did-
we had to grow. The first, I want to say the first 5 episodes were really slow, and that was a point to me where I paid no attention to it at all. I was like, "Hey Jack, I'll show up for an hour. You just tell me what to do. I'll be there to film. You take care of the rest. So I did nothing in terms of like titles or thumbnails or content. And then after like 6 episodes, I was like, this isn't doing well. And then I took over title, thumbnail. And then once it started getting hit by the algorithm, the whole channel started doing way better. I think actually, gosh, when was it? I forget which guest we had on, but there were a few guests in the very beginning that really helped just reach a bigger audience. But it's really just as much algorithm, unfortunately.
Well, I remember you used to actually travel to the guests before in California, right? You would just go to their house. You'd be mobile. You'd go everywhere.
We still are.
Oh, you still do?
Yeah. It's harder now because we have such a nice set. Like before, when we're filming on my coffee table, it's like, of course, like anything else would be better than our coffee table. So it makes sense to travel. But now when we have everything set up there, we got a switcher, we got like the professional lighting. We prefer guests to come to us.
Right.
But we'll travel. It's not as good. The quality goes down if we travel.
Do you have any advice for us?
Man, I would just say keep it short and concise.
Keep it short and concise.
That's what I think. Especially
And on that note, we are done with the podcast. Wrap it up.
Let's wrap this up. That's right. Actually, we have to go to level 2 right now.
Oh.
So are you ready for this, Graham?
Yeah, sure.
I want to see your reaction. It's actually not that hot. We're just starting. But,
Bring on the heat.
yeah. There we go.
Can everybody, by the way, smash the like button for Graham? He's about to experience this influx of heat. And
Yeah. Oh,
he's
you can see
awesome
the
for doing this with us.
humidity up here just
Oh, wow. It's
Yeah.
at 40 degrees
40.
right now. I've never seen it at 40 before.
40% humidity, wow.
And what's the temperature readout, Dylan? 111. Okay, so it's basically the typical Vegas day right now.
Yeah, it's basically outside with humidity. This is Florida,
This is Florida. No, that's such a good point.
basically.
This is Florida. Gosh.
Just
Okay.
sitting out in the heat in Florida right now.
So,
Yes.
Graham, this year, I remember last year from YouTube, I think, how much did you make?
Last year's, why, you the IRS?
I am. How many crypto holdings do you have?
Gosh, what was last year? Like 6 something?
Wow,
All
6.
sixes, yeah.
Are you feeling this year is going to be kind of similar, or is it a little bit lower?
Probably going to be the same.
Same.
Yeah, things have been pretty steady.
That's
believe it or not.
awesome.
So yeah,
That's
I
awesome.
every month I'm like, hey, the last month this is gonna happen, but I've been saying that now for 3 years.
No
So
way.
I've kept that same philosophy every month. Is like, hey, it's gonna be my last. I'm preparing for the end.
It's so interesting that I felt like our ad rates have definitely gone down this year.
They have, but just viewership, believe it or not, just has been better and more consistent now than it was throughout a lot of 2021.
Mm. No, I'm noticing I'm getting more views on my channel this year too than last year, but the ad rates are similar, I would say, but for some reason the payments are basically half.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's half from the peak, but I've had so many videos in the backlog that just continue getting views. Like, when you sort by my real-time 60 minutes, and you see, like, which videos are getting the most views, a lot of them are videos that I posted years ago. It just, every day, they just continually bring in, like, 30, 40,000 views.
Wow.
That's great. Really evergreen.
Yeah, and those are the videos that, when I made them, I never expected them to do well. I mean, it was just like making another Wednesday video, and here they are. It's incredible.
Well, if someone's starting YouTube now in the finance space, what would you recommend them to do differently? Because I'm noticing a lot in the community, for us anyway, there's this trend where it's like, I feel like people are a little upset with what's going on in the markets, and right now there's a trend to make videos maybe criticizing other people's portfolios or investment choices. Do you think that's a pretty smart approach to a growth strategy, or is that?
I mean, it really depends what you're doing, because like in the beginning, it does work, and that is a strategy a lot of people take, because it's like the immediate gratification of just like, hey, got views, and if one subject gets 10 times more views than another, I mean, it kind of makes sense to keep going in that direction. The issue that I have with that is that it caps out pretty quick, and once you kind of saturate that audience, where do you go from there? And it's hard to pivot from that, because then you built up an audience who only wants to see that, and when you pivot, nobody watches it, and it hurts those videos.
Right.
So I would say, yeah, if you want to grow, that works, but at a certain point, you got to pivot to something else. It seems like right now these long form documentary videos are doing so well. Like if you could make a really cool 20 to 30 minute long, documentary on something and post once a week, I love those videos.
Those are so hard to make.
I know.
They take so much research and so
That
much
is
editing.
true.
Yeah, like for me, Sunny V2, Patrick CC, Jake Tran, like those are the three that I think are doing really well. Another channel called Moon doing these documentaries. So I think that's the new style. It's getting really competitive now, but if you could just one up everybody else and just put in more work, or I don't know what it would take.
It's so funny. I remember watching Jake Tran's videos when he was there's actually a testimonial from your course that I was watching at one point, and he was doing finance videos back there.
Yeah.
And man, it's so crazy how much he's grown doing those long form
I
videos.
think he is just the perfect example of you could watch the progression on his channel over time. Like if you go to his channel and go scroll all the way back to the beginning videos, like you'll see how he just like has grown and as a person, how he shifted his content. You see like the change. He started getting traction. He ran with it, and he worked so hard in building what he has.
Yeah.
I love that, going back and watching people's original videos and seeing how they progress over time.
Yeah.
I think it's really inspiring to see.
I watch mine. I like sorting back and then seeing when they've hit exactly 5 years. And then I'll be like,
That's
it'll be like a
cool.
few days until this video hits 5 years. I'll watch it.
That's
I have so much
awesome.
fun because I remember filming all of those videos.
I love that.
Do you think you'll continue doing YouTube for, I guess, indefinitely, or is there a kind of a strategy for which you'll pivot or create like a business that's standalone from your thing?
Just not at the moment. I mean, I'm going to keep doing it as long as I can, as long as I find it enjoyable.
Yeah.
And 90% of the time, I love it. And it's a fun challenge. Even when I'm out of video ideas and I can't think of what to do and I'm just frustrated, it's still, I enjoy that challenge of just like, can I get this done? So as long as it's enjoyable, I'll continue doing it. At
fair.
some point, I'll scale back at some point, but I'm going to push as long as I can.
So it's more so based on how you feel, not necessarily like a goal financially to get to a certain number or anything.
No, there's no goal at this point.
Especially once you've built up all that momentum, I can understand also. It's like you want to keep the momentum going.
And that's the thing too. It's scaling back, you kind of lose that momentum, and I know I won't be able to get back to the same place I am now. So I think to myself, may as well just continue pushing. Like it makes sense. Like who am I to scale back at this point?
Now that you've been in the YouTube game, killing it for so long, what's something about being a YouTuber, being in the space that has surprised you? Something that when you first got into it, you weren't expecting, but that you've experienced, good or bad?
It's difficult to come up with a topic. I think in the beginning, when there was really nothing else that was on YouTube that was talking about finance, it's like you could talk about anything, and people were like, "Oh my god, this crazy concept of compound interest."
What is a Roth IRA?
Yeah, you can't do those videos anymore. So it's become more challenging in that sense. But positively, I think the best thing that has come from it is just the friendships that I made, and just the connections that you make and the people you get introduced to that I would never have been able to meet or come in contact with otherwise, but because of the channel, it makes it possible. So I would say there's friendships and connections.
That's really
100%.
special. I love that. And speaking of, something I'm curious about, do you guys remember the very first moment that you met in person for the first time?
Me and Andrei?
I do.
Yeah, it was at Jeremy's house, wasn't it?
It was at
Yeah.
Jeremy's house. My gosh.
Yeah.
I remember this was 2019. This was before I met any YouTubers. This is my first time, and I saw, I want to say like half a dozen to a dozen people that day. It was like Nate O'Brien and Jeremy and a bunch of creators. And it was so funny because when I saw you, you know that Spider-Man meme that's like, you?
Yeah.
And then even Macy was looking at me. She's like, you guys are so similar. But then as she got to know us, she saw how different we were and that we have similarities, but we're also different.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it was fascinating. And I remember the second time I saw you was actually at your house in California.
Was it?
Yeah, we collabed. We made that video together where we arm wrestled. And
Oh gosh, we did the
He's
Pokemon
like, I
video.
blocked
I
that-
forgot about that.
that
Yeah,
video
blocked
out of
that
my
out.
head.
Yeah.
And now round two.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it was cool because I had seen your video. I think it was the dividend video, right?
yeah.
Yeah, I had seen that video. Like, who's this guy? You got the same lamp as me. So,
Okay, do you want to hear the craziest thing? We coincidentally have that same lamp too. I promise
Do
you,
you really?
we've had that lamp since, I don't know, 2017, 2018, at least like several years at this point. And when we saw that you guys also had the lamp, I'm like, what is it about this lamp?
Yeah.
Total coincidence.
I don't know what it is.
Total
And I don't
coincidence.
think we're the only two people that have had it. I've heard of other creators say I have that same lamp.
mine's a different lamp though. Nobody got theirs from Urban 95. They stopped making my lamp a few years ago.
Really?
Yeah.
I got mine from Amazon
It's
for
slightly
like
different.
$80
yeah.
or something.
Yeah, no, mine is good lamp. Mine's slightly better.
Battle of the lamps.
Yeah.
Battle of the Lamps. Well, Graham, are you ready to go to level 3?
Sure.
Yeah, sure.
He's an enthusiast.
Let's get this over with. Oh gosh, it almost burns at that point.
Oh, we're just getting started.
Is there like a scent in that or like a flavor?
There is.
What is it?
Lavender.
That's what it is.
Squeegee break.
Giving you the full spa experience.
All right.
Oh, yes, squeegee break.
Isn't this just gonna fog up again?
Probably,
Yeah.
but not.
Graham, you're awesome for doing this
Oh,
with us.
yeah.
Thanks.
Oh, did I get it?
That's good enough.
How are you doing? You hanging there?
Fair. Doing okay.
I think you're doing great.
Good.
Yeah.
What's the longest you've gone without like taking a break?
25 minutes.
So basically the whole thing.
Yeah. We're still trying to figure out the format. If it's something that's more formatty or loose.
I think more formatty is better.
Yeah.
I think like the hot ones.
Yeah. First We Feast.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, that's a great podcast. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, speaking of all this humidity, water, you have an aquarium.
Mm-hmm.
And you've been interested in reef aquariums, passionate
Yeah.
about reef aquariums for many years. What is it about reef aquariums that you love so much? And what first piqued your interest in them?
I was a kid, and I was always fascinated with just pets. So as a kid, I would be like, I'd have lizards, tarantulas, frogs, newts, anything. I was just obsessed with just animals and pets in general. And I'd go to the store, the pet store, and there'd be saltwater fish. And for some reason, like I was obsessed. I thought they were the coolest thing. The colors, the life. And back then too, there was like no coral that they sold. It was just the fish. I'd always wanted a saltwater aquarium, and my parents were like, no, that's too expensive, or it's too much work. You can't get a saltwater aquarium. There's that perception that it was very difficult to care for. And, when I was 12, my dad got me a saltwater tank. I think it was for my birthday, or he teamed up with my grandma to, like, get me a saltwater aquarium. And immediately I was obsessed with that tank. I mean, it consumed everything. Like, it was all I could think about. And I found these forums called saltwaterfish.com and reefcentral.com, and I spent all of my time, like, I'd go home from school, and all I wanted to do was, like, post on the forums and talk to other people about their aquariums. And it was like an obsession, because then I'd come back to see if people had replied to me, and I'd spend hours a day on that. And it just evolved. I loved everything about it. It was a really cool outlet for me.
Is that what your favorite
cool.
Pokemon's Gyarados?
Is it my favorite? I don't know if it's my favorite, but close. I don't know.
Because
I
it's
don't
a
know what my
fish?
favorite. I don't know what my favorite would be.
Is your aquarium obsession before or after your love of Pokemon? Kind of around the same time.
That would be after, because Pokemon would be when I was much younger. I mean, I've always loved saltwater fish, but I got an aquarium when I was 12, and I think my Pokemon obsession was before that.
Before that. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so now it's almost like we're in an aquarium with all this humidity, giving you the
kind
full aquarium experience here.
Yeah.
It's so fascinating. I feel like you're such a collector, and I could resonate with that, and something that I feel like I share with you as well. We just like to collect collections of things. I don't know what it is, but I feel like it's what makes you kind of delay your gratification, and it's what allows you to make good choices and stay invested in the long term.
Yep.
Because you like to just collect, and that's kind of part of being a good investor too, is like buying stocks and holding on to them for the long term, which is why you've held on to your Pokemon cards and your I guess your love of the aquarium and everything else. And along the way, as you collect things, I feel like eventually you find a way to monetize it, whether it's the thing you've collected becomes valuable or something happens along the way. And I feel like I share the same kind of quality in collecting those things.
Yeah. Well, reef tanks is going to be very unprofitable, unfortunately, unless
You
you're
think
running
so?
unless you run a full-scale coral farming operation.
Well, you've sold a couple
It's,
things though, right?
Oh yeah, it doesn't even come close to breaking even.
Well, what's the most expensive thing you've sold?
$120.
That's great.
Yeah.
At least that's something.
Yeah.
Yeah, but not when the tank probably costs a few $100s a month to run.
That's fair.
I heard from a top secret source, Macy.
Yeah.
Shout out to Macy. Thanks for the heads up. She said that you used to want to be a marine biologist.
Oh yeah, I did.
Was that something that you really seriously considered? How old were you at the time?
Oh gosh, that was 7th grade. That was just when I started getting into the whole reef aquarium thing, and I was working at a wholesaler, and I thought I wanted to be a marine biologist. But when I looked into it, it sounds so stupid, but they don't make a lot of money, and that was something I knew I just wanted to make a lot of money, and they didn't do that. So I put that on the back burner. Plus, there was a lot that I felt like, I knew already just from the aquariums. So
I remember asking you a while ago, if you weren't doing YouTube, what do you think you would do?
Yeah.
And I think you told me that you wanted to be a professional drummer.
yeah, I'd be involved in probably music and doing something with aquariums.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is it true that you have perfect pitch?
I do. Yeah.
That is so cool. Alex was telling me that you can hear a song, that you were out at the store, you heard a song, and you could sit down at the piano and be able to play the song.
Yeah.
Which is amazing.
Thanks. Yeah.
Wow. Is that something that you've always been able to do since you were a kid?
Yeah. My mom had a piano, and so that was something that I always just tinker around with. I got piano lessons as a kid, and my parents really wanted to cultivate that because they knew that I had a knack for, I guess, hearing something and then playing it on the piano is like 4 or 5 years old. But I hated piano lessons. There's something about it where I didn't want to be taught or like told what to do, and I hated learning the scales. Now I regret it because now I realize as a kid you don't realize the importance of scales and like figuring out which notes go where and which belong and which don't. And I just wanted to do it by ear, and I regret quitting piano lessons.
How would you handle that if you have kids in the future? Would you encourage them to take music lessons, or would you think like, okay, when I was a kid, this is how I felt about it, and would you approach your kid in a certain way because of what you've learned?
No, probably not. If they really hated it as much as I did, I'm not going to force them to do that. Because then I think it builds resentment. And had because then I would have hated it. I mean, then it would have ruined all the love I have for music, I think. Karate was another one. They wanted to get me in karate, and I hated karate. And finally, I got them to say, no, we're going to quit karate. And I loved that decision. So
I used to do karate when I was a
really?
kid.
Me too. Me too.
it.
I was super into karate. Actually, I did karate for a while, 6 days a week.
Yeah.
And after about 7 years, I earned a black belt.
Did you really?
Although
Wow.
it's been so long that I really think they should demote me a belt for every year I haven't practiced, in which case I am back to a white belt. But at the time,
Graham, how do you feel? We're about to karate ourselves to level 4.
Just get it over with. Let's keep going.
let's do it. Here we go.
Okay.
Right. Ooh, what's the temperature now? This to me feels like a 125.
152.
Oh wow.
152.
Right now, or like
Yeah.
it was 152?
No, right now.
Wow,
let
152
it
with
cool down.
30 something percent
Right now the
humidity.
temperature is
Wow.
dropping actually, but the humidity's going up. But the perceived temperature has gone way higher. Now, besides being amazing at finance and playing piano, playing the drums, which by the way, I can attest to this, Graham and I, when we get little house togethers, he's the drummer.
Yeah.
And we could play a song and he just takes over the drums and he just riffs and just
That's
does it
awesome.
perfectly, and I don't
Oh,
understand
nice.
how that works.
A drum beat's a drum beat. I mean, you could. There's a lot of room for interpretation on that, and it sounds good as long as it's on tempo.
I don't know. I'm just blown away but when you do it. But
Thanks.
are there any other hidden talents that you have that the world may not know about?
I played the tuba.
You played the tuba.
Wow.
7 years.
What?
Yeah.
Wow.
From sixth
Wait,
grade.
for 7 years?
Yeah. Is it from 6th grade to 11th grade?
How did you decide on the tuba?
It was the biggest, loudest instrument that I could pick in middle school. They gave you a pick of instruments. Like, we had to take a music class, and I just picked the loudest one I could pick, the biggest one. I just thought it was the coolest, so became the tuba, and I liked it. And there was not a lot of tuba players, so I was one of 2. That was it.
Oh.
Yeah.
I don't see too many people play the tuba. It's not one of those. Yeah.
Have you always wanted to stand out in anything you do? Has that been something that has motivated you throughout your life?
I guess so, because if I'm doing the same things as everyone else, it feels like, I'm not doing something that's maybe unique. So yeah, in a sense, I just think it's fun and more interesting to take a different path.
I feel like for me it was
Yeah.
it was a collection of all these talents too, but I feel like partially driven by, not entirely, but partially driven by maybe insecurities for me, because I was like, man, I'm not like this like 6 foot tall dude. I need to do cool things, and I don't know, maybe growing up that had something to do with picking up a lot of skills and being extra, because I don't know.
It's so interesting because I feel like on social media now you see these trends of things being very polished, and then social media moving in other directions where people want the more real feeling content. It's more relatable. And so I feel like when people are not just portraying themselves as like, hey, I'm this perfect human being, but instead being like, I'm a human just like you. I've got, my strengths, my weaknesses. I feel like that really
I'm sweating like
makes
crazy.
you relatable.
Just like you.
Yes. Woo.
Doing all right?
Yeah, weird. You.
I'll keep going.
Keep going.
Get it over with.
This.
Yeah. How many more questions we got?
About 15.
All right.
1,000.
What's the next thing that you're excited for? Because I don't feel like we do YouTube, and it's fun, but it can sometimes get a little, kind of be a little bit much of a routine.
Yeah.
What's something that you're excited for, kind of in your future? Is it maybe spending more time with Macy, or doing something like a business venture?
Honestly, I really like what I'm currently doing, to be honest. Anything in the short term I'm looking forward to. I would just say, I'm looking forward to the holidays.
Okay.
I've always been a fan of like the time between October and December, because there's so much to look forward to. It's like you got Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's. Ooh, man. Yeah, so.
You guys had an epic Christmas tree I saw. That was a really big Christmas tree.
Yeah, it was, 12 feet?
It looks like we are approaching the end of level 4. So since you mentioned holidays, I am curious to know, what is Graham Stephan's favorite Halloween costume? Like, favorite thing you've ever dressed up as?
I don't usually dress
Halloween?
up. I really don't dress up. Sounds stupid. I love Halloween. I love going to, like, the Halloween events, like Not Scary Farm, Universal Fright Night, haunted houses, hayrides. Like, I love that sort of stuff. But I don't really dress up. I'm not a fan of dressing up.
How about Bailey and Ramsey? Do they get all costumed up for Halloween?
I hate costumes.
It's the opposite of Rito. Rito loves costumes.
Rito's always wearing a shirt. I don't think I've ever seen Rito, Andrei's dog, in his birthday suit.
No, he loves shirts. He'll bring me shirts. It's amazing.
Be like, put on my shirt.
Speaking of guilty pleasures, do you have any, Graham, guilty pleasures, that something you like to indulge in regardless of how much money it costs? It just brings you joy.
The aquarium.
The aquarium. It all goes back to the aquarium.
Yeah, I'll spend any amount of money on the aquarium.
That's fine.
I love that.
And your watch collection's pretty dope too.
I could take it or leave it for watches, but the aquarium is something for me that I get a real passion from that.
Cars or aquarium?
Aquarium.
Wow.
Yeah. That was a quick answer too.
Oh yeah.
Girls or aquarium?
Oh well, it's Macy. What, Macy or the aquarium? Oh gosh, obviously it's got to be. If I had to pick, obviously Macy, but
I think about it.
Passed the test.
But
I was like, Graham, tread carefully.
There's never going to be a world where it's like one or the other.
Yeah.
So it's going to be both.
It's so funny. I remember advice from Kevin O'Leary. Someone brought up a similar question where it's like, should I, abandon my career for this girl that I love? And the advice that he gave was, pick whichever one is easier to or harder to replace.
Yeah.
So it's, which one is harder to replace, your career or the girl? Which I thought was kind of an interesting question, or an interesting answer.
I love how you and Macy are so supportive of each other.
Yeah.
It's really cool. Like, you each have your own things, and just feels like you guys are really there for each other, and it's awesome to see.
Thanks.
Yeah. All right. So it looks like we are moving on to level 5.
This is the level that you get to promote yourself. Not that you need to, but talk about anything you want.
Okay. Yeah, I'll be honest. I don't know how much longer I could last, but I'll keep going. At least I want to be able to make it. All right, so man, it burns. All right, so for God, there's nothing I want to promote, man. You promote whatever you want to promote.
Yeah, I'll promote for Graham. Check out his main channel. Check out his reaction channel. Check out the Iced Coffee Hour. Occasionally, he posts to the vlog channel. Make sure to follow him on Instagram as well.
Graham made it.
You did.
You've made it. Thank you for
All
coming.
right,
Oh my
thank
gosh.
you for being here.
This is hot, by the way.